Hello, everybody. This is Group One, which includes myself, Corey Curry, Golnaz Kamali, and Danae Oliveris. Today, we will be speaking about the Writers Guild strike that we've been seeing on every news media feed from TV, social media, and various news apps. We collectively agreed this was an interesting topic to dig into because of the various impacts the strike had on the livelihood of not only writers, but related talents such as actors, set builders, even the food industry, where we had caterers that had contracts to service movie sets. And so today we'll be jumping into what is the Writers Guild of America? Why did the strike happen? What were the impacts to the strike? And then where did we land from a resolution perspective? We are very excited to share with you what we've learned. So we'll go ahead and get started. So what is the Writers Guild of America anyway? So I know a lot of us have been watching TV, like I've said, or seen things pop up in our social media and wondered, what is it anyway? Right. So the Writers Guild of America does trace back to 1921 when screenwriters, their pay was threatened to be cut. And therefore, there were unions and groups that were formed to stand up and make sure that writers were being fairly compensated. The WGA, or the Writers Guild of America, was officially formed in 1954. Overall, this entity represents the Writers Guild of America for both the East and West of the country. So it is broken out into two separate geographic entities. The labor union does have about 11,500 members. It represents members who write content. It could be radio content, news content, film, internet, and television media. The terms of the contract are negotiated every 3 years, which is what we have been exposed to on the news lately. The 3-year contract was up for renegotiation, and there was a lot of talk about being fairly compensated. Salaries were at an all-time minimum, credit protection for your work, residuals, healthcare, and pension. Another main topic of conversation in this negotiation was the use of AI in creating movie scripts and television scripts and taking that creative role away from artists and writers. So why the strike? Again, there was a lot of pushback on the pay and how that's been handled from a royalties perspective. They were also trying to get a renegotiation around residual pay. 10 years ago, 33% of TV writers were paid the minimum rate. And now, according to data that's been collected, 49% are at a minimum rate, which is near half. Accounting for inflation, writer paid has declined 14% in the last 5 years. And the median weekly writer producer pay is down 23%. So it's not going in an upward trajectory. It continues to go down. And so that was a big part of what was trying to be renegotiated, is to be fairly compensated for the creative work that they're outputting. Improved healthcare, as well as increased pension. Use of AI was a strong topic in the renegotiation, and making sure that they were safeguarding their jobs and their creative role within the industry, and not allowing the movie studios to turn that over to the use of artificial intelligence. And also just improve staffing, staff certain number of writers for a period of time for TV shows. There was, there were complaints that they had minimum number of writers. It was down to the minimum where they were working night and day. They were stuck in small rooms. The work conditions were not fair as well, and all to save a dime. So that is why the strike happened in 2023, when the Writers Guild of America came to the table with some of these items that they wanted to negotiate. They were pushed back. And so they did threaten to walk out, to stop working, to stop creating creative content for the movie studios. And that's exactly what happened, because they were not being taken seriously for some of these main points that they were trying to get addressed. I'm now going to turn it over to Gulnaz Kamali, who will talk about the various impacts of the strike, now that we are clear about what it is and why it happened.
Okay. Hi, I'm Gulnaz, and I'm going to be touching on the immediate and future impacts of the strike. So, as we all know, some of our favorite shows haven't been able to film, especially because even though the writer's strike is now over, they are still not able to film because of the SAG-AFTRA. So, all creative projects, whether that be TV shows, movies, big projects, documentaries, they all have a halt to filming. And the effects of this strike especially lay on smaller name actors, but bigger name actors such as Jennifer Aniston, James Lafferty, they're striking in support of these actors, because even though the bigger name actors are out of work, they necessarily aren't losing as much money and resources and opportunities as the smaller actors are, especially since many people rely solely on the income of acting, which has been hard for them because they're unable to have any jobs as of now. And all major studios are at a standstill, and this includes Netflix, HBO, Hulu, Disney, and even late night shows like SNL. And the late night shows have the most immediate impact due to scheduling, because those are set on a weekly basis, whereas for bigger projects, movies typically take 3 years, 2 years to even come out. But that'll be delayed even longer now because they're unable to start filming as quickly as they would. And actors that depend solely on acting as the source of income are probably the most affected, and they'll succeed long term in higher pay once this strike succeeds and they get through what they want to do. But current and future smaller name actors will have more opportunities, and film scripts can now be worked on because the writer's strike is now over, but it was still delayed enough to where the creative projects still are going to be delayed by a significant amount. Some film and TV shows that were supposed to come out, for instance, next year, will now be delayed at least 2 years, 3 years later. And now I'm going to turn it over to Danae to explain the resolution.
Hi, I'm Danae, and I'm going to be explaining your resolution for this project. On October 9th, an agreement was finally reached at the WGA that members officially voting in favor of the contract proposal and changes. So out of 8,525 valid votes cast, there were only 8,435 yes votes and 90 no votes. So what did they get out of it? Well, they got increased pay, they got health and pension contributions, new foreign streaming residuals, viewer-based streaming bonuses, and assurances against AI. And this is good. This is a good thing, especially because, actors, again, weren't getting the pay for that amount of time. And so the outcome proved that there is power in numbers. And as a unified group, the members of the WGA were able to improve compensation, improve workplace conditions. And the agreement ended a 148-day strike, which marks a historical stance. So this will be an example as the SAG-AFTRA is still ongoing, with writers contributing to hold out alongside actors in orders to get similar results. As a member of the WGA, stand in solidarity with the actors of SAG-AFTRA. Many people in such glamorous industries are threatened with eviction. And that's because of this whole entire thing that's going on. It does affect people, especially when it comes to food insecurity, and it really does challenge these actors to make ends meet after so much time that has passed without the money that they have been lacking in. So we're going to move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So in conclusion, there is power in numbers, and AI has some of an impact that a lot of us know about. And even in the creative industry, it's not just actors, it's artists, it's writers, it's even, you know, models. It comes to a lot. There's a lot of things that come to a halt when it comes to AI. It has impacted so many people. And these types of walkouts can have a significant impact on the livelihoods of multiple professions and industries. So, especially when they are back to back or in parallel, like WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. Yeah, that's our conclusion, and thank you. And these are our references.